YouTube remove that
Listen to this
for
part.
dangerous conspiracy theory, a harmful conspiracy theory? Who's the judge of what's a conspiracy theory and what's a fact? Who has to acknowledge the fact for it not to be a conspiracy?
In objective truth, which, you know, we're going to get into on how that's kind of sculpted, doesn't matter. Who's the judge of that? Who's to say that I have to say that this is objective truth versus my subjective truth? Who cares? Do you not understand? And I know if Candace Owens fans are watching this is gonna go over your head. I know it is, but try to pay attention. All right, so let me go ahead and just get this right out the way. All right, because what I'm going to say in this video is going to make a lot of people upset. I already made similar videos to this, but after seeing Candace Owens in her recent podcast show, whatever, episode 68, which is the video that she just now came out with after being suspended on YouTube. So man, let me just get this out the way. I do not care if you subscribe to my channel. I'm not on YouTube chasing subscribers. I'm not on YouTube chasing views. I am just on YouTube because I got a lot to say. I'm a very opinionated person, and my wife is honestly tired of me always talking to her about politics and everything. She's like, hey, have fun on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Like, she pushes me to be on YouTube because she knows I would just talk her ear off. You know, we've been married 15 years. So I think it's, you know, only fair you guys get some of that abuse. You know what I'm saying? But I think Candace Owens, just as simple as I can put it, is despicable. And I'm using that word because it seems like, what's his name? Ben Shapiro really seems to think that's the lowest of words you can call another human being. So if that's the case, Candace Owens is despicable. And honestly, anyone that takes Candace Owens seriously, like that, they really take her advice in the way that she is perceiving the world. If you take that serious, I'm here to say you are despicable also. You will literally be the reason why society, why human nature on this earth will be completely destroyed. You're the reason. You know what I'm saying? And once we kind of get into what she said, you'll understand why I am just like completely done with taking her as a serious commentator when it comes to any subject, anything. I don't care if she's talking about the weather, where she lives. I will assume she's lying. I will just assume she's trying to play somebody. Don't care. So let's go ahead. I want you to hear it, you know, and then I'm going to get into just everything that I had to do to prepare for this video. So,
all right, so the obvious question is, what did I learn while I was in YouTube timeout? And the answer is, I learned absolutely nothing.
Of course.
Genuinely. I sat down and reflected. I was like, I'm learning nothing. And I'm wondering if now my children, when I put them into timeout, if they're seemingly sitting there and just being like, yeah, no, mom, not learning a single thing.
Yeah, your kids just sitting in timeout is obviously learning nothing. It's the responsibility of the parent to sit down and talk to their kids like a kid. You know, you can't just like talk them. You know what I'm saying? Talk to them and explain to them why you're in timeout, why you got in trouble, and ways to not get yourself into this kind of trouble. I mean, if you just tell your kids to sit in the corner for like 20, which is probably a long time, but just sitting in a corner is not helpful. So, I mean, okay, let's get to the real part.
It was not an effective strategy at all. In fact, more than anything else, I was interested. I was very interested in exactly which videos were pulled down, because these became the dogs that were not barking. You know what I mean? No. Why did they target these videos in particular for such ridiculous reasons? And of course, the big one was the Kanye one. But also, you should know, they removed my interview almost at 1 million views after a couple of days with journalist Xavier Poussard, the journalist that broke the story that Brigitte Macron was born a man and lived as a man named Jean-Michel Trogneau.
Yeah.
And he spoke a lot about a pedophile ring. Why would YouTube remove that for dangerous conspiracy theory, a harmful?
I mean, YouTube is a business, and I'm not going to go into what you think we're going to go into. YouTube is a business. If your videos are getting millions of views and the retention is keeping people locked on YouTube, not just your video alone, but they profit off of people staying on the platform. So if your videos get millions of views and the retention is off the charts, why would they just ban it? Why would they just ban your video? Not just because, oh my God, Candace is... No, they don't really, honestly, don't really care what you talk about. Of course, they have rules and guidelines, but if you operate within those rules and guidelines, you can say the earth is flat and have your videos just based off that. As long as YouTube is making money, they don't care. So let's understand what she's getting into.
Conspiracy theory. Who's the judge of what's a conspiracy? About a pedophile ring. Why would YouTube remove that for dangerous conspiracy theory, a harmful conspiracy theory? Who's the judge of what's a conspiracy theory and what's a fact? Who has to acknowledge the fact for it not to be a conspiracy? And all
right, guys, holy I'm not gonna cuss. I'm not gonna do that because I try to be better than that. You know what I'm saying? And she quotes, I literally had to replay what she just said. Like, I kid you not, like 10 times. Like, I wanted to write down verbatim what she said. And I did listen to the rest of her, segment on this subject. And, she's talking about, Dave Chappelle and Cat Williams. And it's like, what you just said right then and there, who's the judge of what's a conspiracy theory and what's a fact? Who has to acknowledge the fact for it not to be a conspiracy? What you're saying is, it doesn't matter what objective truth is. It doesn't matter, because subjective truth, your perspective, your feelings, your emotions, your opinion on the matter is truth. And objective truth, which, we're going to get into on how that's kind of sculpted, doesn't matter. Who's the judge of that? Who is to say that I have to say that this is objective truth versus my subjective truth? Who cares? Do you not understand? And I know if Candace Owens fans are watching this, this is going to go over your head. I know it is, but try to pay attention. If you try to have a constructive conversation, those conversations that matter. Politics, good example. If you're trying to get to a solution of an issue that's going on in America, like healthcare, education, wages, the economy, climate change, foreign affairs, any of those conversations, your conversations have to orbit around an objective truth. Because if you're just spouting what you believe is true and I'm just spouting what I believe is true, we're just going to go in circles. We're never going to get to a solution that's better for majority of people. We're never going to get to that. So objective truth is important. But what can I say? Who's the judge of what's a conspiracy theory and what is a fact? What do you mean, who's the judge? Holy shit, what is going on? Okay, check this out. What is an objective truth? Because once again, Candace Owens fans seem to not want to read, do their research. They just believe whatever she says. An objective truth, a fact that is true regardless of personal beliefs or feelings, and can be verified through evidence. It is independent of individual perspectives. That is the dumbed down version of that definition that I could find. Please try to understand what that is. A example of an objective truth. Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius at sea level. This is true regardless of anyone's opinion or feelings and can be proven with scientific evidence. I mean, that sounds pretty understandable. Subjective truth, a belief or opinion that is true based on a personal experiences, feelings, or interpretation. It can vary from person to person. So that's your opinions. If you think Medicare for all, or it needs to be some sort of, private versus, type of situation, whatever your opinion is, that is your opinion. And then we can look at the data, look at the facts, look at historical data, then, because that's the evidence. And then we can kind of narrow down on what's a better solution on just about any subject. Here's an example of subjective truth. Chocolate ice cream is the best flavor. This is based on personal preference and can vary from person to person. I feel so stupid having to explain this to people, but gee golly, it feels like I got to. You know what I'm saying? Once again, YouTubers are amazing. I think YouTube is perfect for people to express their opinions and kind of open up a grander conversation that, sometimes it deserves more than just one perspective. I understand that. But when people start to take YouTubers such as myself, and see those people as someone who understands back and forth in the depth of any subject, then I start to worry. I'm like, whoa, hold on. What degrees does Candace Owens has when it comes to Jewish history and just whatever crazy thing that she's deciding to talk about? Or is she just giving her opinion on a matter? It's a reason why we have, for example, scientists, people who dedicate their lives to a certain subject and experience the time it takes to fully understand that subject matter. Best example I could come up with is Neil deGrasse Tyson. For some reason, I'm no astrophysicist. I never was intrigued to be one, but I watch his videos because it's intriguing. And half the thing he says, it just goes over my head, but it's just truly captivating. And the reason why is because he dedicated a large chunk of his life doing the research, getting the evidence, observing the evidence, challenging the evidence, and then he comes to a conclusion. So it's like someone like that, I can trust that he knows what he's talking about, compared to like if Ben Shapiro was to try to talk about astrophysics physics stuff. And it's like, bro, like leave that to the professionals. Speaking of Neil deGrasse Tyson, let's hear him talk about how objective truths, how we as human beings get to decide what is an objective truth. Because once again, Candace Owens says, who's the judge of what a conspiracy theory or what a fact is? Let's go ahead and take a listen.
I recently learned I got name checked by Terrence Howard on his recent appearance on Joe Rogan.
So like I said, so this is, just to kind of fast forward. I don't want to bore you guys. If you guys want to watch this video, go to his channel and watch it. But as you see, this dude, Terrence Howard has his own ideas of mathematics, and we've been wrong all this time, and he thinks 0 plus or 0 times 0 something is like 1. I don't know, but Neil deGrasse Tyson breaks down on how we get to what a fact is, and it's beautiful. Let's see.
I reached out.
Kid, he wanted to be like a scientist and study the universe. I said, well, that's cool. Okay, maybe we'll get him on Star Talk. We love talking to celebrities who have a sort of soft geek underbelly. And solicited it from him. Okay. I actually spent time reading every line of all 36 pages. And I commented. My comments are in red here. You see that? So I spent a lot of time on it. And I thought, out of respect for him, what I should do is give him my most informed critical analysis that I can. In my field, we call that a peer review. You come up with an idea, you present it either at a conference or you first write it up and you send it to your colleagues. It is their duty to alert you of things about your ideas that are either misguided or wrong, or there's the calculation that doesn't work out, or the logic doesn't comport. That's their job. Not all ideas will turn out to be correct. Most won't be. But to get to that point, you need to know things like, what has everyone else said about this same subject? Am I repeating someone else's work? Is this a new insight that no one else has had, but has foundations that are authentic or legitimate or objectively true? Am I making a false?
Wow, did he just say objectively true? Oh man, like that's kind of weird. Like scientists using what's objectively true in their own research, in their own studies, like that's kind of weird. Like, I don't know.
False assumption. Am I making an assumption that someone else has already shown to be false? All of this goes on the frontier of science. Let me make it clear that I'm delighted when I see people with active minds trying to tackle the great unknowns in the universe. It's a beautiful thing that people want to participate on this frontier. What can happen is, if you're a fan of a subject, let's say, a hobbyist, let's call it, it's possible to know enough about that subject to think you're right, but not enough about that subject to know that you're wrong.
So my question is, how do you get to the point to know that you might have been wrong about something? Oh, but once again, to a Candace Owens, like, who is the judge of what a fact in a conspiracy theory is? So it's like, how do you challenge your conspiracies? How do you challenge what you think might be true or might be? How do you challenge that? Or do you just like have no filter and you just say whatever you want to say, just whatever, and then have no constructive thought of your own thinking? And then when other people challenge you, like, bro, you sound a little crazy. I mean, dare to say, you sound a little hateful. Oh no, you're just trying to cancel me. You're just trying to stop me from telling. But it's like, but this is not the first time people have had this conversation. This conversation's been had before. And this is the conclusions that all these people who kind of know what they're talking about, because they're historians and they kind of dig a little deeper into just the surface level YouTube videos that people are making. This has been debunked and talked about for decades, way before I was born. But all of a sudden, like, Candace's brain is this up like this is like some revelation. It's like, no, it's not. It's been talked about. You're not the first. I'm sorry. And just like Neil deGrasse Tyson said, like, people get, especially YouTubers, you know what I'm saying? These influencers, they get a little piece of information on something. Like Candace, you know, on the rest of that subject she was talking about in her video, she knows a little bit about something through other people's experiences and perspectives. She gathers that and thinks she knows it all. She thinks she solved the riddle of American history or world history. And it's like, no, because before she dropped this video, I've already heard people talk about the same conspiracies that she's claiming is possibly true.
And so there's this sort of valley in there, a valley of false confidence. This has been studied by others, and it's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. It's the phenomenon where a little bit of knowledge, you over-assess how much of that subject you actually know. And then when you learn even more, you realize, no, I didn't know as much as I thought I did. So then there's a sort of a lull there. And then when you learn even more, you come back up. Ultimately, learning enough to know whether you were right or wrong. To become an expert means you spend all this time. It doesn't happen overnight. You can't just sit in an armchair and say, I'm now an expert.
Whoa, Candace Owens? You just can't sit in front of a camera in a chair and be like, I'm an expert of people taking over the media and purposeless. Really, you're an expert, right? All of a sudden, you sitting behind that camera. I want to know what actual credible sources you've gathered, not just interviews of people, because that's not research. Google is like surface level research. YouTubing things is surface level research. I want to see the books that you've read. I want to see the books that coincide with your perspective, and books that you read that challenges your perspectives. I want to see those books that you've read on the subject matter. I mean, that sounds like someone really trying to get to the bottom of a issue, right? Oh no, let's just post a couple of interviews and just gather my assumptions around that. Oh, come on. I'm just a regular guy, and I challenge myself a lot more vigorously than a normal person does. I mean, I'm actually reading books, and I'm the crazy one, right?
It requires years and years of study, especially looking through journals where new ideas are published and contested. That's what we have learned is the most effective means of establishing that which is objectively true, or determining that which is objectively false. Both of those work hand in hand to move the needle on our understanding of the universe.
Wow. I mean, that sounds pretty spot on how we decide who's the judge of what is a fact and what is a lie. I mean, I tried to think of it like a cool, like big, no, it's a lie. What's the opposite of a fact? A lie. Or falsehood. Choose any word, but it's not a fact. And once again, we look to those who dug into the research, who is a credible source, who's not just biased on one side or another. You can read both sides and then come up with your own conclusion and your own opinions on the subject at hand. Let me break this down for you. Once again, I know a lot of Candace Owens fans is like just already typing in the comments like, oh, you're just mad because you just don't get no, like bro, that's your argument. That's why you're a Candace Owens fans. Honestly. Evidence-based verification. Facts are supported by verifiable evidence that can be independently checked and validated, such as data, documentation, or scientific experiments. Conspiracy theories, on the other hand, often lack strong, credible evidence and are based on speculative and unfounded claims. Expert consensus. Facts are generally accepted by experts in the relative field based on accumulated knowledge, research, and peer review studies. I mean, I could have sworn a scientist just said that. I mean, that's kind of weird. Conspiracy theories are frequently rejected by experts due to weak or unsubstantiated, can't read, foundations. I mean, strong evidence, weak evidence. I mean, it's kind of weird. Conspiracy theories usually usually have a lot of loose ends. I mean, you can't never pin, and trust me, I done spoke to a lot of them. You can't pin them down to give you some sort of evidence for all the crazy things that they're spewing. It leads into one thing or another, and it's never ending. That's a conspiracy theory. Logical consistency and transparency. Facts are coherent, consistent with established knowledge, and open to scrutiny. Conspiracy theories often rely on hidden motives. I mean, like, these people controlling the media, like, they have hidden motives. Like, you can't disprove that. You can't prove it and you can't disprove it. That really sounds like beneficial for the person spewing the conspiracy, because you can't prove that. Secret plots and explanations that contradict established facts without providing plausible alternatives or transparent reasoning. Guys, if we continue to allow people like Candace Owens to dominate the conversation, and just like Kellyanne Conway said, it will never escape my mind. It haunts me until this day. She said on CNN when Trump was first running for president, that's like what, 2016? She said he's not lying. It's his alternative facts or something like that. But the words alternative facts, that doesn't mean nothing. An alternative, that means another, a replacement, a duplicate, same level, alternative facts. But facts is singular. That's a fact. You can't have another fact that contradicts that fact, because one of them has to be not true. Like right now, my shirt can't be gray and orange at the same time. One of them is a lie, one of them is a fact. Holy smokes, man. I swear, this is going to be the reason why the divide in this country is going to continue to decline with any important conversation, and especially policies, because policies, that's what's going to affect us in real life. That's what's going to affect our kids in their lives, and possibly going forward, because, we passed one crazy bill. I mean, like, that could have repercussions for decades. Look at Ronald Reagan, Nixon. We're still feeling the effects of their bad policies, their racist, white supremacist policies. Like, I'm just a regular guy who works a regular 9 to 5. Why do I feel like the crazy one here? Let's read some books. I mean, if we, once again, Candace Owens says, who's the judge of what's a conspiracy theory and what's a fact? Who has to acknowledge the fact for it's not to be a conspiracy? It just sounds like you are just trying to muddy what is a lie and what is a fact for your benefit. And you know why she's doing that? Because she's an opportunist. She is a grifter. Yes, she is a grifter. That's literally the best plan for a grifter is if they don't ever have to prove nothing. If all they have to do is tell you what you want to hear, and doesn't have to be accountable to show proof, show evidence, show credible sources of where they're getting their research and their information and their data, they don't have to show none of that. They just got to tell you what tickles your ears. And boy, the Candace Owens fans love to have their ears tickled. But when it comes to showing proof, showing facts, and like I said, not the Google facts. Don't show me YouTube facts. No, I want to see a list of books from credible sources. Then we can have a conversation. I mean, that's how reasonable adults handle these conversations. But once again, if you disagree with me that Candace Owens is a despicable, despisable person, human being, if you disagree, let me know in the comments. And once again, I'm pretty sure 9 times out of 10, and quote me on this, that 90% of my comments is going to be, you're stupid, you don't know nothing, you're just, they're not going to challenge me on any factual thing that I said in this video. You can't. Like, that's literally the facts that I'm telling you. So if you try to challenge that with opposite of what I'm saying, then you're lying. But go ahead and try it. Like always, let me know down in the comments down below. And like always, let's have that conversation.